everyone I was playing League with was playing WoW. And I was like, yeah, okay, sweet. If I have a crew of people and I can get into it. Because they said, it's like, dude, you're so good at League, you'd be really good at WoW. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess so. If that makes sense, I'll try it out. And then when you get to max level, you see like, oh, okay, once you work on your gear and then you can do PvP. Once you did PvP, especially doing ASHRAN at the time, was awesome. And that felt very close to playing more League of Legends. I was like, oh, okay, so League is like a very stripped down WoW character with like a handful, like 4 cooldowns instead of 12 or whatever, right? So that was really cool, was understanding that. And then Draenor was the first expansion that had the scaled PvP gear. So you could literally just go play Battlegrounds, you get your PvP gear, and it would rate you to do maybe heroic dungeons or like normal raids. But when you were in PvP, it jumped up like 25 or 30 item levels. So you were really able to, instead of grinding out, raids on every character in order to go to PvP. If you wanted to PvP, you could just go play PvP, even if it was just battlegrounds and light fun. And honestly, for me, when I just want to relax and chill, I find that very relaxing and chill. Going and play battlegrounds on a class and going on the high on the meters, getting a lot of kills, getting objectives. Love it. So that's what got me really into playing all these different classes, was going into battlegrounds in Draenor, seeing you can get the PvP gear, and then you can get a character geared ASAP. So especially, you just get a character of 70 or whatever at the time. You don't have to do anything else. You can literally just start spamming battlegrounds. Yeah, you might not be good for the first 4 or 5 battlegrounds. As soon as you start getting a little bit of gear, you're fine, and you're able to compete, and then you're able to honestly outpace a lot of other players, especially because they've just been going around doing heroic dungeons, and since you're in PvP, your item score jumps up a lot higher than theirs. So with that, that's how I honestly made a class, made a character on every class at that time, except Monk, I think. I didn't play Monk, really. I might have skipped Rogue, too, because I was playing a Feral Druid, and especially at the time, I was like, oh, I was doing arenas with someone who was doing Rogue, and I was a Feral Druid. I was like, oh, okay, looks like they're doing pretty much the same stuff, but a little more specialized in stuns or something, where Feral Druid was great on like dots and burst. So with that, at least, played everything, tried it out, really enjoyed just understanding the characters, understanding the specs, finding out what works, and everything felt very nice and unique, because that was the first time they did a big pruning of talents and trees too, which was nice. Or they did it right after. Oh, they did it right after in Legion. Yeah, they in the fantasy and did a lot of pruning in Legion. Okay. But with all your kit, and that was one thing, I think that's why PvP was very entertaining in Draenor, because that was where a lot of classes still had like 2 or 3 stuns and 2 or 3 stun breaks. So there was this sort of Street Fighter mentality with some of the way PvP happened in Draenor. And that was cool. And I like it now. I think it's better when it's not just a bunch of stun lock play around. Because that can get stale. And then especially when you feel like you're more so focusing on stun locks and not your classes or your abilities, then everything can start feeling very similar and samey, which is okay. But I think everything's very healthy right now. But yeah, Draenor was cool. It's getting high onto the PvP scene there. And then so going from all that hardcore PvP in Draenor, going through Legion, doing all this like really, really sweaty stuff, coming to an RP server after a lot of solo play, because even when I was doing raiding, I was a prop pally and I decided, well, I want to raid, but I can't get enough real life friends together. What if I just use the group creator and I just try to do a raid? And literally that's all it was. It started as, hey, progression raids, come in here, as long as your item scores this level, and as long as you are listening to comms, fine. Like, you didn't have to talk, but as long as you were in the Discord and you were listening to what we were saying and doing, and then you can do something like a thumbs up or at least type in-game chat that you heard, perfect. Because, it's a lot to ask people to communicate, but just asking someone to listen to the bullet points, because it's easier to explain it over voice chat than to do a huge text log. that is just made everything so easy. So you can get, 12 to 20 people, go do the raid. As long as everyone's communicating, you'll clear the raid. As long as everyone's understanding the mechanics, right? And so from that self-starter, just get out there and do it mentality, it was awesome. And I, made friends. There was a time on ASHRAN especially, I was playing mostly my Paladin here and my Death Knight. I got really good at PvP raid leading. So that was honestly the first way I got into raiding. Less was actual PvE content, but it was ASHRAN. He had a team of 40 people. When no one knew what to do, I said, hey, everyone just pass me lead. I know the basic routes around the circle and the timing. And then I would be able to make really great calls for when to hit hard on the alliance and break through their keep and then kill their boss and win. And it was so smooth, it was so fluid. And I was doing that every Saturday for most of the X-Pack, for most of Draenor. It was really nice. And then what was great about that was when I would log in, I would see people talking in trade chat about how they were so happy that on Saturdays, Shattered Hand was just running the show for the ASHRAN. And that was a great feeling. They were saying like the whole server was getting leveled up. The whole server was completing their objectives and everyone was able to participate together. And that was the part for me that I found really fun, just really worthwhile, was the fact that being able to spend 4 or 5 hours Saturday mornings, get a lot of people gear, people switch out, I'm just hanging out, having fun, getting 40 knuckleheads to run around and shoot at the alliance or doing sneaky stuff or having even simple stuff. When we would go into the big wall versus wall fight, I would just simple things, put down markers and put in the chat as like, hey, melee up front, ranged and back, healers stick around the middle, stuff like that. Even calling out simple stuff like, hey, stealth, go running behind real quick and attack this one. And it was just even the stuff of calling out who their healers were and putting marker targets and saying, DKs, can you grip their healers or anything like that. Super easy, simple stuff. Absolutely love that feeling. Okay, so I guess she killed Khadgar, or she's so powerful that none of the... Ooh. Alright, so yeah, does he turn into Locust Walker? Because Locust Walker kind of sounds like him, but that would imply some, like, time travel shenanigans, too. I don't know. It's cool stuff. But damn. Damn, she destroyed Dalaran. No more Dalaran. Damn! Damn. All right. That's a hell of a way to start your expansion. Okay. Okay. All right. But yeah, so going and being able to do all of the raid leading in ASHRAN when that was current, that was also cool because, like, PvE solved content. So in one sense, if you're able to do a raid lead for PvP, you're facing the hardest challenges in World of Warcraft because you're dealing with 40 people with various skill levels and raid gear, but you're fighting 40 other people with various levels of coordination skills and raid gear.